Hello and welcome to this. Well, it's an experiment for Beyond Shakespeare, and we are basically reading a version of the game at chess, which includes a complete through line of the scenes with the white queen's pawn. So we have um, these lovely people who are willing to read on a Sunday, which I think it's our fifth attempt officially. So
On
day
the
five.
400th anniversary of A Game of Chess by Thomas Middleton.
Exactly. And this is why they're here. They're here to keep me in check. And yeah, so there's that. And this has been sort of nicknamed the Queen's Pawns Gambit, which is not complicated at all. Without further ado, I will let these lovely people continue with the play so we can just see how it functions and yeah, enjoy.
What of the game called chess play can be made to make a stage play shall this day be played? First, you shall see the men in order set, states and their pawns when both the sides are met. The houses well distinguished in the game, some men entrapped and taken to their shame, rewarded by their play, and in the close you shall see checkmate given to virtue's foes. But the fairest jewel that our hopes can deck is to play our game to avoid your check.
Where? What angle of the world is this, that I can neither see the politic face, nor with my refined nostrils taste the footsteps of any my disciples, sons and heirs, as well of my designs as institution? I thought they'd spread over the world by this time, covered the earth's face, and made dark the land, like the Egyptian grasshoppers. Here's too much light appears, shot from the eyes of truth and goodness never yet deflowered. Sure they were never here. Then is their monarchy unperfect yet, a just reward I see for their ingratitude so long to me, their father and their founder. 'Tis not 5 years since I was sainted by 'em. Where slept mine honour all the time before? Could they be so forgetful to canonize their prosperous institutor? When they had sainted me, they found no room in all their calendar to place my name, and that should have removed princes, pulled the most eminent prelates by the roots up, for my dear coming, to make way for me. Every petty martyr and Saint Homily, Roche, Maine, and Petronil, Itch and A.U. Cures, your Abbess Aldegond and Cunigund, the widow Marcel, Parson Polycarp, Cecily and Ursula, all take place of me, but for the bisextile or leap year, and that's but 1 in 3, I fall by chance into the 29th day of February. There were no room else for me. See their love, their conscience too, to thrust me, a lame soldier, into a leap year. What's up? Methinks I could, with the first syllable of my name, blow up their colleges. Up, error, awake! Father of supererogation, rise! It is Ignatius calls thee. Loyola!
Oh, what have you done? I could sleep in ignorance immortally. The slumber is so pleasing. I saw the bravest setting for a game now that ever mine eye fixed on.
What game, prithee?
The noblest game of all, a game at chess. Betwixt our side and the White House, the men set in their just order, ready to go to it.
Were any of my sons placed for the game?
Yes, and a daughter too, a secular daughter that plays the Black Queen's pawn. He, the Black Bishop's.
If ever power could show a mastery in thee, let it appear in this.
It's but a dream, a vision, you must think.
I care not what. So I behold the children of my cunning, and see what rank they keep.
You have your wish. Behold, there is the full number of the game, kings and their pawns, queens, bishops, knights, and dukes.
Dukes? They're called rooks by some.
Corruptedly, Le Rook, the word, Custode de la Roche, the keeper of the forts, in whom both kings repose much confidence, and for their trust's sake, courage and worth, do well deserve those titles.
The answer's high. I see my son and daughter.
Those are two pawns, the black queens and the black bishops.
Pawns argue but poor spirits and slight preferments, not worthy of the name of my disciples. I had stood so nigh, I would have cut that bishop's throat. But I've had his place, and told the queen a love tale in her ear would have made her best pulse dance. There's no elixir of brain or spirit amongst them.
Why, would you have them play against themselves? That's quite against the rule of game, Ignatius.
Oh, pish, I would rule myself, not observe rule.
Why, then you'd play a game all by yourself.
I would do anything to rule alone. It's rare to have the world reined in by one.
See 'em anon and mark 'em in their play. Observe as, in a dance, they glide away.
Oh, with what longings will this breast be tossed, until I see this great game won and lost.
I ne'er see that face, but my pity rises, when I behold so clear a masterpiece of heaven's art, wrought out of dust and ashes, and at next thought, to give her lost eternally in being not ours, but the daughter of heresy, my soul bleeds at mine eyes.
Where should truth speak, if not in such a sorrow? There are tears plainly. Beshrew me, if she weep not heartily. What is my peace to her to take such pains in't? If I wander to loss, and with broad eyes yet miss the path she can run blindfold in through often exercise, why should my oversight, though in the best game that e'er Christian lost, raise the least spring of pity in her eye? It's doubtless a great charity, and no virtue could win me surer.
Blessed things prevail with if ever goodness made a gracious promise, it is in yonder look. What little pains would build a fort for virtue to all memory in that sweet creature, were the groundwork firmer?
It hath been all my glory to be firm in what I have professed.
That is the enemy that steals your strength away and fights against you, disarms your soul even in the heat of battle. Your firmness that way makes you more infirm for the right Christian conflict. There, I spied a zealous primitive sparkle, but now flew from your devoted eye, able to blow up all the heresies that ever sat in council with your spirit. And here comes he whose sanctimonious breath will make that spark a flame. List to him, virgin, at whose first entrance princes will fall prostrate. Women are weaker vessels.
By my penitence, a comely presentation, and the habit to admiration reverent.
But the heart, lady, so meek, that as you see good charity pictured still with young ones in her arms, so will he cherish all his young, tractable, sweet, obedient daughters, e'en in his bosom, in his own dear bosom. I am myself a secular Jesuitess, as many ladies are of worth and greatness. Second sort are Jesuits in voto, giving their vow unto the Father General, that's the Black Bishop of our house, whose pawn this gentleman now stands for, to receive the college habit as his holy pleasure.
But how are those in voto employed, lady, till they receive the habit?
They're not idle. He finds them all true laborers in the work of the universal monarchy, which he and his disciples principally aim at. Those are maintained in many courts and palaces, and are induced by noble personages into great princes' services, and prove some councillors of state, some secretaries, all serving in notes of intelligence as parish clerks their mortuary bills to their Father General. So are designs oft times prevented, and important secrets of state discovered, yet no author found. But they suspected oft that are most sound. This mystery is too deep yet for your entrance, and I offend your zeal so back. Checked by obedience with desire to hasten your progress to perfection, I commit you to the great worker's hands, to whose grave worth I fit my reverence, as to you my wishes.
Dost find her supple?
There's a little passage made.
Let me contemplate, with holy wonder season my access, and by degrees approach the sanctuary of unmatched beauty, set in grace and goodness. Amongst the daughters of men I have not found a more catholical aspect. That eye doth promise single life and meek obedience. Upon those lips the sweet fresh buds of youth, the holy dew of prayer lies like pearl drops from the opening lids of the morn upon the bashful rose. How beauteously a gentle fast, not rigorously imposed, would look upon that cheek, and how delightfully the courteous physic of a tender penance, whose utmost cruelty should not exceed the first fear of a bride to beat down frailty, would work to sound health your long festered judgment, and make your merit, which, though erring ignorance, appears but spotted righteousness to me, far clearer than the innocence of infants.
To that good work I bow, and will become obedience' humblest daughter, since I find the assistance of a sacred strength to aid me. The labor is as easy to serve virtue the right way, since 'tis she I ever served in my desire, though I transgressed in judgment.
That's easily absolved amongst the rest. You shall not find the virtue that you serve now a sharp and cruel mistress. Her ears open to all your supplications. You may boldly and safely let in the most secret sin into her knowledge, which, like vanished man, never returns into the world again. Fate locks not up more trulier.
To the guilty that may appear some benefit.
Who's so innocent that never stands in need on it in some kind? If every thought were blabbed that so confessed, the very air we breathe would be unblessed. Now to the work indeed, which is to catch her inclination. That's the special use we make of all our practice in all kingdoms. For by discovering their most secret frailties, things which, once ours, they must not hide from us. That's the first article of the creed we teach them. Finding to what points their blood most inclines, know best to apt them then to our designs. Daughter, the sooner you disperse your errors, the sooner you make haste to your recovery. You must be nice or modest towards this good action is to imitate the bashfulness of one conceals an ulcer. For the uncomely parts, the tumor vexes till it be past cure. Resolve you thus far, lady, the privatest thought that runs to hide itself in the most secret corner of your heart now must be of my acquaintance. So familiarly never she friend of your knight counsels nearer.
I stand not much in fear of any action guilty of that black time, most noble holiness. I must confess, as in a sacred temple thronged with an auditory, some come rather to feed on human object than to taste of angels' food. So in the congregation of quick thoughts, which are more infinite than such assemblies, I cannot with truth's safety speak for all. Some have been wanderers, some fond, some sinful, but those found ever but poor entertainment. They had small encouragement to come again. The single life, which strongly I profess now, heaven pardon me, I was about to part from.
Ah, then you have passed through love.
But left no stain in all my passage, sir, no print of wrong for the most chaste maid that may trace my footsteps.
How came you off so clear?
I was discharged by an inhuman accident, which modesty forbids me to put any language to.
How you forget yourself! All actions clad in their proper language, though most sordid, my ear is bound by duty to let in and lock up everlastingly. Shall I help you? He was not found to answer his creation. A vestal virgin in a slip of grace could not deliver man's loss modestlier. 'Twas the white bishop's pawn.
The same, blessed sir.
An heretic well pickled.
By base treachery and violence prepared by his competitor, the Black Knight's pawn, whom I shall ever hate for't.
'Twas of revenges the unmanliest way that ever rival took, a villainy that for your sake I'll ne'er absolve him of.
I wish it not so heavy.
He must feel it, and never yet gave absolution to any crime of that unmanning nature. It seems then you refused him for defects therein you stand not pure from the desire that other women have in ends of marriage. Pardon my boldness if I sift your goodness to the last grain.
I reverence your pains, sir, and must acknowledge custom to enjoy what other women challenge and possess more ruled me than desire. For my desires dwell all in ignorance, and I'll never wish to know that fond way may redeem 'em thence.
I never was so taken, beset doubly now with her judgment, the strength it puts forth. I bring work nearer to you, when you've seen a masterpiece of man composed by heaven for a great prince's favor, kingdom's love. So exact, envy could not find a place to stick a blot on person or on fame. Have you not found ambition swell your wish then, and desire stir your blood?
By virtue, never. I've only in the dignity of the creature admired the Maker's glory.
God, she's impregnable. A second siege must not fall off so tamely. She's one of those must be informed to know a daughter's duty, which some take untaught. Her modesty brings her behindhand much. My old means I must fly to. Yes, 'tis it. Please you, peruse this small tract of obedience. 'Twill help you forward well.
Sir, that's a virtue I've ever thought on with a special reverence.
You will conceive by that my power, your duty.
The knowledge will be precious of both, sir.
What makes you troubler of all Christian waters so near that blessed spring? But that I know her goodness is the rock from whence it issues, unmovable as fate, 'twould more afflict me than all my sufferings for her, which, so long as she holds constant to the house she comes of, the whiteness of the cause, the side, the quality, are sacrifices to her worth and virtue, and though confined in my religious joys, might marry her and possess her.
Behold, lady, the two inhuman enemies, the Black Knight's pawn and the White Bishop's, the Gelder and the Gelded.
There's my grief. Sorry.
There's my grief, my hate.
What in the Jesuit's fingers? By this hand I'd give my part now for a parrot's feather. She never returns virtuous. 'Tis impossible. I'll undertake more wages will be laid upon a usurer's return from hell than upon hers from him now. I have been guilty of such base malice that my very conscience shakes at the memory of it, and when I look to gather fruit, find nothing but the savagery, too frequent in nuns' orchards, and there planted by all conjecture to destroy fruit rather. I'll be resolved now. Most noble virgin.
Ignoble villain, dare that unhallowed tongue lay hold upon a sound so gracious? What's nobleness to thee, or virgin chastity? They're out of thy acquaintance. Talk of violence that shames creation. Deeds would make night blush. That's company for thee. Hast thou the impudence to court me with a leprosy upon thee, able to infect the walls of a great building?
Son of offense, forbear, go set your evil before your eyes. A penitential vesture would better become you, some shirt of hair.
And you a 3-pound smock instead of an alb, an epicene chasuble. This holy felon robs safe and close. I feel a sting that's worse too. White pawn, hast so much charity to accept a reconcilement. Make thine own conditions, for I begin to be extremely burdened.
No truth or peace of that black house protested is to be trusted, but for hope of quittance, and warned by diffidence, I may entrap him soonest. I admit conference.
It's a nobleness that makes confusion cleave to all my merits.
That treatise will instruct you fully.
So, the business of the universal monarchy goes forward well now. The great college plot that should be always boiling with the fuel of all intelligences possible through the Christian kingdoms. Is this fellow a prime incendiary and one of those that promised the White Kingdom 7 years since to our Black House? put a new daughter to him. The great work stands. He minds not monarchy nor hierarchy, divine a principality. I have bragged less, but I've done more than all the conclave of them. Take their assistant fathers in all parts, yea, and their father general into boot. What I've done facetiously, with pleasant subtlety, bewitching courtship, abused all my believers with delight. They took a comfort to be cozened by me to many a soul I've let in mortal poison, whose cheeks have cracked with laughter to receive it. I could so roll my pills in sugared syllables, and strew such kindly mirth over all my mischief. They took their bane in way of recreation, as pleasure steals corruption into youth. Despise me now, I must uphold his reverence, especially in public. Though I know Priapus, guardian of the cherry gardens, Bacchus and Venus chit, is not vicious.
Blessings accumulation keep with you, sir.
Honest dissimulation be your due, sir.
How deep in duty is his observance plunges, his charge must needs be reverend.
I am confessor to this black knight, too. You see devotions fruitful, she hath many sons and daughters.
I do this the more to amaze our adversaries to behold the reverence we give these guillotines, and to beget a sound opinion of holiness in them and zeal in us, as also to invite the like obedience in other pucelles by our meek example. So, is your trifle vanished?
Trifle, you call her. It's a good pawn, sir. Sure, she's the second pawn in the White House. To the opening of the game, I hold her.
Aye, you hold well for that. I know your play of old. There were more queen's pawns. You'd ply the game a great deal harder. Now, sir, we're in private, but what the great work, the main existence, the hope monarchal?
It goes on in this.
In this, I cannot see it.
You may deny so a dial's motion, because you cannot see the hand move, or a wind that rends the cedar.
Where stops the current of intelligence? Your father general, bishop of the Black House, complains for want of work.
Here's from all parts sufficient to employ him. I received a packet from the assistant fathers lately. Look, there is Anglica, this Gallica.
Aye, marry, sir, there's some quick flesh in this.
Germanica,
I think they sealed this with butter.
this Italica,
They put their pens the Hebrew way, methinks.
Hispanica here.
Hispanica? Blind work, this. The Jesuits had writ this with the juice of lemon, sure. Must be held close to the fire of purgatory ere can be read.
You would not lose your jest, knight, though it wound your own name.
And here again, it is the daughter's duty to obey her confessor's command in all things without exception or expostulation. 'Tis the most general rule that e'er I read of. Yet, when I think how boundless virtue is, goodness and grace 'tis gently reconciled, and then it appears well to have the power of the dispenser as uncircumscribed.
She's hard upon it. 'Twas the most modest key that I could use to open my intents. What little or no pains ghosts some people. Huh. What have we here? A sealed note. Whence this? To the Black Bishop's pawn, these. How, to me? Strange. Who subscribes it? The Black King. What would he? Pawn sufficiently holy, but unmeasurably politic. We had late intelligence from our most industrious servant, famous in all parts of Europe, our Knight of the Black House, that you have at this instant in chase the White Queen's pawn, and very likely by the carriage of your game to entrap and take her. These are therefore to require you, by the burning affection I bear to the rape and devotion that speedily, upon the surprisal of her, by all watchful vantage you make some attempt upon the white queen's person, whose fall or prostitution our lust most violently rages for. Sir, after my desire hath took a julep from its own inflammation, that yet scorches me, shall have cooler time to think of yours. She hath passed the general rule the large extent of our prescriptions for obedience, and yet with what alacrity of soul her eyes move on the letters.
Holy sir, too long I've missed you. Oh, your absence starves me. Hasten for time's redemption. Worthy sir, lay your commands as thick and fast upon me as you can speak 'em. How I thirst to hear 'em. Set me to work upon the spacious virtue which the poor span of life's too narrow for, boundless obedience. The humblest yet the mightiest of all duties, well here set down a universal goodness.
By holiness of garment, her safe innocence hath frighted the full meaning from itself. She is further off from understanding now the language of my intent than at first meeting.
For virtue's sake, good sir, command me something. Make trial of my duty in some small service, and as you find the faith of my obedience there, then trust it with a greater.
You speak sweetly. I do command you first, then,
With what joy I do prepare my duty.
to meet me and seal a kiss of love upon my lips.
Huh?
At first disobedient, in so little too. How shall I trust you with a greater then, which was your own request?
Pray send not back mine innocence to wound me. Be more courteous. I must confess, much like an ignorant plaintiff, who, resuming on the fair path of his meaning, goes rashly on, till on a sudden brought into the wilderness of law by words dropped unadvisedly, hurts his own cause, and gives his adversary advantage by it. Apply it you can best, sir. If my obedience and your command can find no better way, bondmen command, and wantons best obey.
If I can at that distance send you a blessing, is it not nearer to you in mine arms? It flies from these lips dealt abroad in parcels, and I, to honor thee above all daughters, invite thee home to the house, where thou mayest surfeit on that which others miserably pine for, a favor which the daughters of great potentates would look of envy's color but to hear.
Good men may err sometimes, you're mistaken, sure. If this be virtue's path, 'tis a most strange one. I never came this way before.
That's your ignorance. And therefore shall that idiot still conduct you that knows no way but one, nor ever seeks it. If there be 20 ways to some poor village, 'tis strange that virtue should be but put to one. Your fear is wondrous faulty. Cast it from you. 'Twill gather else in time a disobedience too stubborn for my pardon.
Have I locked myself at unawares into sin's servitude with more desire of goodness? Is this the top of all strict order and the holiest of all societies, the three vowed people for poverty, obedience, chastity, the last the most forgot? When a virgin's ruined, I see the great work of obedience is better than half finished.
What a stranger are you to duty grown? What distance keep you? Must I bid you come forward to a happiness yourself should sue for? It was ne'er so with me. I dare not let this stubbornness be known. 'Twould bring such fierce hate on you. Yet presume not to make that courteous care a privilege for wilful disobedience. It turns then into the blackness of a curse upon you. Come, come, be nearer.
Nearer?
Was that scorn? I would not have it prove so for the hopes of the grand monarchy. If it were like it, let it not dare to stir abroad again. A stronger ill will cope with it.
Threatens me, and quite dismays the good strength that should help me. I never was so doubtful of my safety.
'Twas but my jealousy. Forgive me, sweetness. Yours is the house of meekness, and no venom lives under that roof. Be nearer. Why so fearful? Nearer the altar, the more safe and sacred.
But nearer to the offerer, oft more wicked.
Plain and most insufferable contempt. My glory I have lost upon this woman, in freely offering that she should have kneeled a year in vain for. My respect is darkened. Give me my reverence again, thou hast robbed me of in thy repulse. Thou shalt not carry it hence.
Sir?
Thou art too great a winner to depart, and I too deep a loser to give way to it.
Oh, heaven!
Lay me down reputation before thou stirrest. Thy nice virginity is recompense too little for my love. 'Tis well if I accept of that for both. Thy loss is but thine own. There's art to help thee and fools to pass thee to. In my discovery, the whole society suffers, and in that the hope of absolute monarchy eclipsed. Assurance thou canst make none for thy secrecy, but by thy honor's loss. That act must awe thee.
Oh, my distressed condition!
Dost thou weep? If thou hadst any pity, this necessity would wring it from thee, must else destroy thee. We must not trust the policy of Europe upon a woman's tongue.
Then take my life, sir, and leave mine honor for my guide to heaven.
Take heed I take not both, which I have vowed if longer thou resist me.
Help! Oh, help!
Art thou so cruel for an honor's bauble to undo a whole fraternity and disperse the secrets of most princes locked in us?
For heaven and virtue's sake!
Must force confound? What's that? Silence, if fair worth be in thee.
I'll venture my escape upon all dangers now.
Who comes to take me? Let me see that pawn's face, or his proud tympanous master swelled with state wind, which being once pricked in the convocation house, the corrupt air puffs out, and he falls shriveled.
I will discover thee, arch hypocrite, to all the kindreds of the earth.
Confusion! Ah, and that voice rings the alarm of my undoing. How? Which way escapes she from me?
You mad? Can lust infatuate a man so hopeful? No patience in your blood. The dog star reigns sure. Time and fair temper would have wrought her pliant. I spied a pawn of the White House walk near us and made a noise on purpose to give warning, for mine own turn, which ends in all I work for.
Methinks I stand over a powder vault, and the match now a kindling. What's to be done?
Ask the Black Bishop's counsel. You're his pawn, 'tis his own case. He will defend you mainly. And happily here he comes, with a Black Knight too.
Oh, you've made noble work for the White House yonder. This act will fill the adversary's mouth and blow the Lutherans' cheeks till they crack again.
This will advance the great monarchical business in all parts well, and help the agents forward. What I in 7 years laboured to accomplish, 1 minute sets back by some codpiece college still.
I dwell not, sir, alone in this default. The Black House yields me partners.
Or all the more cautelous.
Qui corte, caste. That's my motto ever. I've travelled with that word over most kingdoms, and lain safe with all nations of a leaking bottom. I've been as often tossed on Venus' seas as trimmer, fresher vessels, when sounder barks have laid at anchor, that is, kept the door.
She hath no witness then.
None.
Gross. Witness? When men a man of his society to mischief with a witness?
I've done it then. Away, upon the wings of speed. Take post horse, cast 30 leagues of earth behind thee suddenly. Leave letters antedated with our house 10 days at least from this.
Bishop, I taste thee. Good, strong episcopal counsel. Take a bottle on it. 'Twill serve thee all thy journey.
But, good sir, how for my getting forth unspied?
There's check again.
No, I'll help that.
Well said, my bouncing Jesuitess.
There lies a secret vault.
Away, make haste then.
Run for my cabinet of intelligences, for fear they search the house. Good Bishop Burnham, rather, I cannot stand to pick him now.
Begone, the danger's all in you.
Let me see, Queenspawn. How formerly hath packed up his intelligences, hath laid them all in truckle beds, methinks, and like court harbingers hath writ their names in chalk upon their chambers. Anglica. Oh, this is the English house. What news there, Trow? Ah, by this light, most of these are bawdy epistles. Time they were burnt indeed, whole bundles of them. Here's from his daughter Blanche and daughter Bridget, from their safe sanctuary in the Whitefriars. These from those two tender sisters of compassion in the bowels of Bloomsbury. These from the nunnery in Drury Lane. A fire, good Jesuitess, a fire.
A
What
note,
are you there?
a note, sir, of state policy, and an exceeding safe one.
Pray, let's see it, sir. Sell away all the powder in the kingdom to prevent blowing up. That's safe, I'll label it. Here's a facetious observation now, and fits my humour better. He writes here, some wives in England commit adultery, and then send to Rome for a bull for their husbands.
Have they those shifts?
Oh, there's no female breeding, sweeter and subtler. Here, wench, take these papers, scorch me them soundly, burn them to a French russet, and put them in again.
Why, what's your mystery?
Sir, 'twill mock the adversary strangely, if e'er the house be searched. 'Twas done in Venice upon the Jesuitical expulse there, when the inquisitors came all spectacled to pick out syllables out of the dung of treason, as children pick out cherry stones, yet found none but what they made themselves with ends of letters. Do as I bid you, Pawn.
Fear not. In all, I love roguery too well to let it fall. How now? What news with you?
The sting of conscience afflicts me so for that inhuman violence on the white bishop's pawn. It takes away my joy, my rest.
This 'tis to make an eunuch. You made a sport on't then.
This aggravation, I come to be absolved for it. Where's my confessor? Why dost thou point to the ground?
'Cause he went that way.
What's that?
Come, help me with this cabinet, and after I have singed these papers thoroughly, I'll tell thee a strange story.
If it be sad, 'tis welcome.
'Tis not troubled with much mirth, sir.
Is this my pawn, she that should guard our person? Or some pale figure of dejection, her shape usurping? Sorrow and affrightment hath prevailed strangely with her.
King of integrity, queen of the same, and all the house, professors of noble candor, uncorrupted justice, and truth of heart, through my alone discovery, my life and honor wondrously preserved, I bring into your knowledge with my sufferings fearful affrightments and heart-killing terrors. The great incendiary of Christendom, the absolute abuser of true sanctity, fair, peace, and holy order can be found in any part of the universal globe, who, making meek devotion keep the door, his lips being full of holy zeal at first, would have committed a foul rape upon me.
A rape, that's foul indeed. The very sound to our ear, fouler than the offense itself to some kings of the earth.
Sir, to proceed, gladly I offered life to preserve honor, which would not be accepted without both, the chief of his ill aim being at mine honor, till heaven was pleased by some unlooked for accident to give me courage to redeem myself.
When we find desperate sins in ill men's companies, we place a charitable sorrow there. But custom and their leprous inclination quits us of wonder, for our expectation is answered in their lives. But to find sin, yea, and a masterpiece of darkness sheltered under a robe of sanctity, is able to draw all wonder to that monster only, and leave created monsters unadmired. The pride of him that took that first fall for pride is to be angel-shaped and imitate the form from whence he fell. But this offender, far baser than sin's master, fixed by vow to hold the order which is angel's method, takes pride to use that shape to be a devil. It grieves me that my knowledge must be tainted with his infested name. Oh, rather with thy finger point him out.
The place which he should fill is void, my lord. His guilt hath scared him. The Black Bishop's pawn.
Ha, mine, my pawn, the glory of his order, the prime and president zealot of the earth, impudent pawn, for thy sake at this minute modesty suffers, all that's virtuous blushes, and truth's itself, like the sun vexed with a mist, looks red with anger. If all speed, waste not one syllable, unfortunate pawn, of what I speak. Thou dost not plead destruction, a plea which will but faintly take thee off, neither upon the crystal waters of from this Leviathan scandal that lies rolling upon the crystal waters of devotion, or what may quit thee more, though enough nothing, fall down and foam. By that pang discover the vexing spirit of falsehood strong within thee. Make thyself ready for perdition. There is no remove in all the game to escape it. This pawn or this, the bishop or myself, will take thee in the end, and play how thou canst.
Fight of sin's glorious ostentation and all loud threats, those thunder cracks of pride ushering a storm of malice. House of impudence, craft, and equivocation, my true cause shall keep the path it treads in.
I play thus, then. Now, in the hearing of this high assembly, bring forth the time of this attempt's conception.
Conception? Oh, how tenderly you handle it.
Well, its eruption. The time, pawn.
Yesterday's cursed evening.
The treasure of my revenge. I cannot spend it all on thee. Ruin to spare for all thy kindred too. For honour's sake, call in more slanderers. I have such plentiful confusion, I know not how to waste it. I'll be nobler yet, and put her to her own house. King of meekness, take the cause to thee, for our hands too heavy. Our proofs will fall upon her like a tower, and grind her bones to powder.
What new engine has the devil raised in him now?
Is it he? And that the time? Stand firm now to your scandal. Pray, do not shift your slander.
Shift your treacheries. They've worn one suit too long.
That holy man, so wrongfully accused by this lost pawn, has not been seen these 10 days in these parts.
How?
Nay, at this instant, 30 leagues from hence.
Fathomless falsehood! Will it escape unblasted?
Can you make it appear?
Lightning is not clearer by his own letters, most impartial monarch.
Step forth and reach those proofs.
Amazement covers me. Can I be so forsaken of a cause so strong in truth and equity? Will virtue send me no aid in this hard time of friendship?
Behold all, how they cohere in one. I always held a charity so good to holiness professed, that I ever believed, brother, the accuser false and the professor vicious.
A charity like all your virtues else, gracious and glorious.
Where settles the fence, let the false punishment be derived from thence. We leave her to your censure.
Most just majesty.
Calamity of virtue, my queen, leave me too? Am I cast off as the olive casts her flower? Poor friendless innocence, art thou left a prey to the devourer?
No, thou art not lost. Let 'em put on their bloodiest resolutions. If the fair policy I aim at prospers, a man for speed now.
Let it be my honour, sir. Make me that flight that owes her my life's service.
not this brought about well for our honours?
Ish, that Galician brain can work out wonders.
Let's use her as upon the like discovery, a maid was used at Venice. Every one be ready with a penance. Begin, Majesty. Vessel of foolish scandal, take thy freight. Had there been in that cabinet of niceness half the virginities of the earth locked up, and all swept at one cast by the dexterity of a Jesuitical gamester, had not been valued, the least part of that general worth thou'st tainted.
First, I enjoin thee to a 3 days fast for it.
You're too penurious, sir. I'll make it 4.
I to a 12 hours kneeling at one time.
And in a room filled all with Aratin's pictures, more than the twice 12 labours of luxury, thou shalt not see so much as the chaste pommel of Lucrece dagger peeping. I'll punish thee for a discoverer. I'll torment thy modesty.
After that 4 days fast, to the Inquisition house, strengthened with bread and water for worse penance.
Why, well said, Bishop of our house, nobly aggravated.
Virtue, to show her influence more strong, fits me with patience mightier than my wrong.
My pawn, how now the news?
Expect none very pleasing that comes, sir, of my bringing. I'm for sad things.
Thy conscience is so tender-hoofed of late, every nail pricks it.
This may prick yours too, if there be any quick flesh in the yard on it.
Mine? Mischief must find a deep nail and a driver beyond the strength of any Machiavel. The politic kingdom's batten to reach mine. Prithee, compunction, needle pricked a little, and bind this sore wound.
Sir, your plot's discovered.
Which of the 20,900 fourscore and 5? Canst tell?
Bless us, so many. How do poor countrymen have but one plot to keep a cow, and yet in law for that? You cannot know them all by their names, sir.
Yes, well, their numbers trebled. I've seen a globe stand on the table in my closet.
Things, sir, full of countries and hard words.
True, with lines drawn, some tropical, some oblique.
I scarce can read. I was brought up in blindness.
Just such a thing. Ere my skull be opened, will my brains look like?
Like a globe of countries.
Aye, and some master politician with his sharp state eyes will go near to pick out the plots and every climate where they fastened. 'Twill plossom 'em too.
I'm of your mind for that, sir.
They'll find 'em to fall thick upon some countries. They need to use spectacles, but I turn to you now. What plot is that discovered?
Your lost brass, sir, begot twixt the Black Bishop and yourself. Your antedated letters about the Jesuit.
Discovered? How?
The White Knight's policy hath outstripped yours. Joined with the assistant council of his duke, the White Bishop's pawn undertook the journey, who, as they say, discharged it like a flight. I made him made him for the business fit and the like.
Yeah, 'tis but a bawdy pawn out of the way. Enough of them in all parts.
Set free that virtuous pawn from all her wrongs. Let her be brought with honor to the face of her malicious adversaries.
I'll take no notice on't. What makes she here? How dare yon pawn unpenanced, with a cheek fresh as her falsehood yet, where castigation hath left no pale print of her visiting anguish, appear in this assembly? Let me alone. Sin must be bold. That's all the grace 'tis born to.
What's this? I'm wonderstruck.
Assist me, goodness. I shall to prison again.
Beast amazed them, scattered their admirations of her innocence, as the fired ships put in severed the fleet in 88. Impudence is mischief's patrimony. Is this justice? Is injured reverence no sharply arighted? I ever held that majesty impartial, that like most equal heaven looks on the manners, not on the shapes they shroud in.
This Black Knight will never take an answer. 'Tis a victory to make him understand he doth amiss, when he knows in his own clear understanding that he doth nothing else. Show him the testimony, confirmed by good men, how that foul attempter got but this morning to the place from whence he dated his forged lines for 10 days past.
Why, may not the corruption sleep in this by some connivance, as you have waked in ours by too rash confidence?
Now to act treachery with an angel's tongue. Since all's come out, I'll bring him strangely in again. Where is this injured chastity? This goodness whose worth no transitory peace can value, this rock of constant and invincible virtue that made sin's tempest weary of his fury.
What, is my pawn distracted?
I think rather there is some notable master prize of roguery this drum strikes up for.
Let me fall with reverence before this blessed altar.
This is madness.
Well, mark the end. I stand for roguery still. I will not change my side.
I shall be taxed, I know. I care not what the Black House thinks of me.
What say you now?
I will not be unlaid yet.
However sure flies, I honour sanctity. That is my object, I intend no other. I saw this glorious and most valiant virtue fight the most noblest combat with the devil.
Both our bishops had been there for seconds. There had been a complete duel. Then thou heardst the violence intended?
'Tis a truth I joy to justify. Was an agent on virtue's part and raised that confused noise that startled his attempt and gave her liberty.
Oh, 'tis a righteous story she hath told, sir. My life and fame stand mutually engaged both to the truth and goodness of this pawn.
Doth it appear to you yet as clear as the sun?
Believed it long before 'twas done.
Degenerate, base, treacherous pawn.
We shall match you. Play how you can, and perhaps make you two.
I sue to thee, prithee, be one of us. Let my love win thee. Thou'st done truth this day, and yesterday my honor noble service. Best pawn of our house could not transcend it.
My pity flamed with zeal, especially when I foresaw your marriage. Then it mounted.
How marriage?
That contaminating act would have spoiled all your fortunes. A rape. God bless us.
Thou talk'st of marriage.
Yes, you do marry. I saw the man.
The man.
An absolute handsome gentleman, a complete one. You'll say so when you see him, heir to 3 red hats besides his general hopes in the Black House.
Why, sure thou art much mistaken in this man. I've promised single life to all my affections.
Promise you what you will, or I, or all ons. There's a fate rules and overrules us all, methinks.
Why, how came you to see or know this mystery?
A magical glass I bought of an Egyptian, whose stone retains that speculative virtue, presented the man me. Your name brings him as often as I use it, and methinks I never have enough. Person and postures are also pleasing.
This is wondrous strange. The faculties of soul are still the same. I can feel no one motion tends that way.
We do not always feel the faith we live by, nor ever see our growth, yet both work upward.
'Twas well applied. But may I see him too?
Surely you may, without all doubt or fear, observing the right use as I was taught it, not looking back, nor questioning the spectre.
That's no hard observation. Trust it with me. Is it possible? I long to see this man.
Pray follow me then, and I'll ease you instantly. This is the room he did appear to me in, Look you, this is the magical glass that showed him.
I find no motion yet. What should I think on't? A sudden fear invades me, a faint trembling under this omen as oft as felt the painting of a turtle dove under a stroking hand.
That bodes good luck still. Sign you shall change state speedily, for that trembling is always the first symptom of a bride. For any vainer fears that may accompany his apparition, by my truth to friendship, I quit you of the least. Never was object more gracefully presented. The very air conspires to do him honor, and creates sweet vocal sounds as if a bridegroom entered, which argues the blessed harmony of your loves.
Will the using of my name produce him?
Nay, of yours only, else the wonder halted. To clear you of that doubt, I'll put the difference in practice, the first thing I do, and make his invocation in the name of others.
'Twill satisfy me much that.
Shall be done. Thou whose gentle form and face filled lately this Egyptic glass, by the imperious powerful name and the universal fame of the mighty Black House Queen, I conjure thee to be seen. What, see you nothing yet?
Not any part. Pray, try another.
You shall have your will. I double my command and power, and at the instant of this hour invoke thee in the White Queen's name, with stay for time and shape the same. What, see you yet?
There's nothing shows at all.
My truth reflects the clearer then. Now, fix and bless your fair eye with your own forever. Thou well composed by fate's hand drawn to enjoy the White Queen's pawn, of whom thou shalt by virtue met many graceful issues get, by the beauty of her fame, by the whiteness of her name, by her fair and fruitful love, by her truth that mates the dove, by the meekness of her mind, by the softness of her kind, by the luster of her grace, by all these thou art summoned to this place. Hark, how the air enchanted with your praises and his approach, those words to sweet notes raises.
Oh, let him stay a while, a little longer.
That's a good hearing.
If he be mine, why should he part so soon?
Why, this is but the shadow of yours. How do you?
I do ill to give consent to see it. What certainty is in our blood or state? What we still write is blotted out by fate. Our wills are like a cause that is law tossed. What one court orders is by another crossed.
I find no fit place for this passion here. 'Tis merely an intruder. He's a gentleman most wishfully composed. Honor grows on him, and wealth piled up for him, has youth enough too, and yet in the sobriety of his countenance grave as a tetrarch, which is gracious in the eye of modest pleasure. Where's the emptiness? What more can you request?
I do not know what answer yet to make. It doth require a meeting twixt my fear and my desire.
She's caught, and, which is strange, by her most wronger.
It's he, my confessor. He might have passed me 7 years together had I not by chance advanced mine eyes upon that lettered hatband, the Jesuitical symbol to be known by, worn by the brave collegians with content. 'Tis a strange habit for a holy father, a president of poverty especially, but we, the sons and daughters of obedience, dare not once think awry, but must confess ourselves as humbly to that the father of that feather, long spur and poniard, as to the alb and altar. And happy we're so highly graced to attain to it. Holy and reverend.
Thou hast found me out.
Oh, sir, put on the sparklingest trim of glory, perfection will shine foremost. And I knew you by the Catholical mark you wear about you, the mark above your forehead.
Are you grown so ambitious in your observance? Well, Your business. I have my game to follow.
I have a worm follows me so, and that I can follow no game. The most faint-hearted pawn, if he could see his play, might snap me up at pleasure. I desire, sir, to be absolved. My conscience being at ease, I could then with more courage plan my game.
'Twas a base fact.
'Twas schismatic pawn, sir.
What's that to the nobility of revenge? Suffices I have neither will nor power to give you absolution for that violence. Make your petition to the penance chamber. If the tax register relieve you in it by the Black Bishop's clemency, you have wrought out a singular piece of favor with your money. That's all your refuge now.
The sting shoots deeper.
Yonder's my game, which, like a politic chess master, I must not seem to see.
Oh, my heart, 'tis he!
That 'tis.
The very self-same that the magical mirror presented lately to me.
And how like a most regardless stranger he walks by, merely ignorant of his fate. You are not minded the principlest part of him. What strange mysteries inscrutable love works by.
The time, you see, is not come yet.
But 'tis in our power now to bring time nearer. Knowledge is a mastery, and make it observe us and not we it.
I would force nothing from its proper virtue. Let time have his full course. I had rather die the modest death of undiscovered love than have heaven's least and lowest servant suffer, or in his motion receive check for me. How is my soul's growth altered? That single life, the fittest garment that peace ever made for it, is grown too straight, too stubborn on the sudden.
He comes this way again.
Oh, there's a traitor leapt from my heart into my cheek already, that will betray all to his powerful eye if it but glance upon me.
By my verity, look, he's passed by again, drowned in neglect, without the prosperous hint of so much happiness to look upon his fortune. How close fate seals up the eye of human understanding, till, like the sun's flower, time and love unclose it. 'Twere pity he should dwell in ignorance longer.
What will you do?
Yes, die a bashful death, do, and let the remedy pass by unused still. You're changed enough already, if you'd look into it. Absolute sir, with your most noble pardon for this my rude intrusion, I am bold to bring the knowledge of a secret nearer by many days, sir, than it would arrive in its own proper revelation with you. Pray, turn and fix. Do you know and noble goodness?
Oh, 'tis the first minute mine eye blessed me with her, and clearly shows how much my knowledge wanted, not knowing her till now.
She's to be liked, then? Pray, view advisedly. There is strong reason that I'm so bold to urge it. You must guess the work concerns you nearer than you think for.
Her glory and the wonder of the secret puts a reciprocal amazement on me.
And 'tis not without worth. You two must be better acquainted.
Is there cause, affinity, or any courteous help creation joys in to bring that forward?
Yes, yes, I can show you the nearest way to that perfection of a most virtuous one that joy e'er found. Pray mark her once again, and follow me, and I will show you her must be your wife, sir.
The mystery extends, or else creation hath set that admirable piece before us to choose our chaste delights by.
Please you follow, sir.
What art have you to put me on an object and cannot get me off? 'Tis plain to part from it.
If there prove no check in that magical glass now, but my proportion come as fair and full into his eye as his into mine lately, then I'm confirmed he is mine own forever.
The very self same that the mirror blessed me with from head to foot, the beauty and the habit. Kept you this place still? Did you not remove, lady?
Not a foot further, sir.
Is possible. I would have sworn I had seen the substance yonder. 'Twas to that luster, to that life presented.
Even so was yours to me, sir.
Saw you mine?
Perfectly clear no sooner my name was used, but yours appeared.
Just so did yours at mine now.
Why stand you idle? Will you let time cozen you, protracting time of those delicious benefits that fate hath marked to you? You modest pair of blushing gamesters, and you, sir, the bashfulest. I cannot flatter a foul fault in any. Can you be more than man and wife assigned, and by a power the most irrevocable? Others that be adventurers in delight may meet with crosses, shame, or separation. You know the mind of fate. You must be coupled.
She speaks but truth in this. I see no reason then that we should miss the relish of this night, but that we are both shamefaced.
How this night, sir? Did not I know you must be mine, and therein your privilege runs strong, for that loose motion you never should be. Is it not my fortune to match with a pure mind? Then am I miserable. The doves and all chaste-loving winged creatures have their pairs fit, their desires justly mated. Is woman more unfortunate, a virgin, than May of woman? A fate that hath ordained her we should be man and wife hath not given warrant for any act of knowledge till we are so.
Tender-eyed modesty, how it grieves at this. I'm as far off for all this strange imposture as at first interview. Where lies our game now? You know I cannot marry by mine order.
No, you cannot, sir. Yet you may venture upon a contract.
Huh?
Surely you may, sir, without all question, so far, without danger or any state into your vow, and that may take her. Nay, do it with speed. She'll think you mean the better too.
Be not so lavish of that blessed spring. You've wasted that upon a cold occasion now would wash a sinful soul white. By our love joys, that motion shall ne'er light upon my tongue more, till we're contracted. Then, I hope, you are mine.
In all just duty ever.
Then, do you question it? Pish! Then you're man and wife, all but church ceremony. Pray, let's see that done first. She shall do reason then. Now I'll enjoy the sport and cozen you both. My blood's game is the wages I have worked for.
I believe in the past we've read this stage direction because it's important. Recorders.
Enter Black Queen's pawn with a taper in her hand. She conducts White Queen's pawn in her night attire into one chamber, and then conveys Black Bishop's pawn in his night habit into another chamber, and putting out the light, follows him.
I see 'twas but a trial of my duty now, as a more modest mind, and in that virtue most worthily hath fate provided for me. Ah, 'tis the bad man in the reverend habit. Dares he be seen again, traitor to holiness? Oh, marble-fronted impudence, and knows how ill hath used me. I'm ashamed he blushes not.
Are you yet stored with any woman's pity? Are you the mistress of so much devotion, kindness, and charity as to bestow an alms of love on your poor sufferer yet for your sake only?
Sir, for the reverend respect you ought to give sanctity, though none to me, in being her servant, vowed and wear her livery. If I might counsel, you should never speak the language of unchasteness in that habit. You would not think how ill it doth with you. The world's a stage on which all parts are played. You'd think it most absurd to see a devil presented there not in a devil's shape, or, wanting one, to send him out in yours. You'd rail at that for an absurdity no college merit committed. For decorum's sake, then, for pity's cause, for sacred virtue's honor, if you'll persist still in your devil's part. Present him as you should do, and let one that carries up the goodness of the play come in that habit, and I'll speak with him. Till then will the parts be fitted, and the spectators know which is which. They must have cunning judgments to find it else, for such a one as you is able to deceive a mighty audience. Nay, those you have seduced, if there be any in the assembly, when they see what manner you play your game with me, they cannot love you. Is there so little hope of you to smile, sir?
Yes, at your fears, at the ignorance of your power, the little use you make of time, youth, fortune, knowing you have a husband for lust's shelter, you dare not yet make bold with a friend's comfort, which is the plague of weakness.
So hot, burning, the syllables of sin fly from his lips as if the letter came new cast from hell.
Well, setting by the dish you loathe so much, which hath been heartily tasted by your betters, I come to marry you to the gentleman that last enjoyed you. I hope that pleases you. There's no immodest relish in that office.
Strange, of all men he should first light on him to tie that holy knot that sought to undo me. Were you requested to perform that business, sir?
I name you a sure token.
As for that, sir, now you're most welcome. And my fair hopes of you, you'll never break the sacred knot you tie once with any lewd soliciting hereafter.
But all the crafts in getting of it knit, you're all on fire to make your cousining market. I am the merrier, and the man. Do you know me? Do you know me, nice iniquity, strict luxury, and holy whoredom? I would clap in marriage with all hot speed to solder up your game. See what a scourge fate hath provided for thee. You were a maid. Swear still you're no worse now. I left you as I found you. Have I startled you? I'm quit with you now for my discovery, your outcries and your cunnings. Farewell, brokage.
Nay, stay, and hear me but give thanks a little, if your ear can endure a work so gracious. Then you may take your pleasure.
I have done that.
That power that hath preserved me from this devil.
How?
This that may challenge the chief chair in hell and sit above his master.
Bring in merit.
That suffered him through blind lust to be led last night to the action of some common bed.
Overcommon neither.
What voice is that?
Of virgins be thou ever honored. Now you may go. You hear I've given thanks, sir.
Here's a strange game. Did not I lie with you?
No.
What the devil art thou?
I will not answer you, sir, after Thanksgiving.
Why, you made promise to me after the contract.
Yes.
Mischief confound thee! I speak not to thee, and you were prepared for it, and set your joys more high.
Than you could reach, sir.
This is some bawdy pawn. I'll slit the throat on it.
What offer violence to your bedfellow? To one that works so kindly without rape.
My bedfellow?
Do you plant your scorn against me? Why, when I was probationer at Brussels, that engine was not known. Then adoration filled up the place, and wonder was in fashion. Is't turned to the wild seed of contempt so soon? Can 5 years stamp a bawd? Pray look upon me, sir, I've youth enough to take it. 'Tis no longer since you were chief agent for the transportation of ladies' daughters, if you be remembered. Some of their portions I could name, who pursed 'em too. They were soon dispossessed of worldly cares that came into your fingers.
Shall I hear her?
Holy derision, yes, till thy ears swell with thine own venom, thy profane life's vomit. Whose niece was she you poisoned with, child? Twice, then gave her out possessed with a foul spirit, when 'twas indeed your bastard.
I am taken in mine own toils.
Yes, and it is just as you should be.
And thou, lewd pawn, the shame of womanhood.
I'm lost of all hands.
And I cannot feel the weight of my perdition. Now he's taken, 'tis not the burden of a grasshopper.
Thou whore of order, cockatrice in voto, down, viper of our order, I abhor thee. Thou show thy whorish front.
Yes, monster holiness.
You, yon's the white bishop's pawn. I'll play its heart now.
How now, black villain? Wouldst thou heap a murderer on thy first foul offence? Oh, merciless bloodhound, 'tis time that thou wert taken.
Death prevented.
For thy sake and that partner in thy shame, I'll never know man farther than by name. My mistress, the White Queen, hath sent me forth, and bade me bow thus low to all of worth, that are true friends to the White House and cause, which she hopes most of this assembly draws. For any cause, by envy's mark denoted, to those night glow worms in the bag devoted, where'er they sit, stand, or in private lurk, they'll be soon known by their depraving work. But she's assured what they'll commit to bane, her white friends' hands will build up fair again.
Yay! Thus ends the play.
Hmm.
Sorry, I overheated. Yeah.
It's an interesting different take, isn't it?
Yeah.
With the other material excised.
Yeah. It's yeah. It's a lot clearer because you've got the through line of the White Queen's pawn. Yeah.
Although when we
Wow.
did the A text the other day, it was almost there. I mean, there were other bits there too, but this was still clearly the dominant plot line.
Yeah.
With this being a cut down text, I'd love to hear Allison, not having read any part of this play before. How did it see? Like, how did the flow of it feel, and how did the kind of plot come through? With this being like the only plot that this version of the play focuses on.
I mean, I feel like it came through. I think what I was struggling with as the White Queen's pawn was having not known where it ends, like how bought into this, like that magic mirror plot. How bought in is the White Queen's pawn? Does she know? Like, yeah, I was like, I'm not sure. Am I missing things that like she has a plan?
Well, Alan?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the problem is, and we've had this with all of the various iterations we've done of this play, and also a lot of other Middleton stuff, is that he doesn't actually show you where the plot is going until often much later, if he bothers at all. And he's extremely confusing. I mean, it really has almost Dadaist elements of cut up in it, to my mind.
Rachael. Sorry.
You're muted, Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. It was one of those things where all of a sudden the technology freaks out for no reason.
Cool.
What do you call it? I think it made me look at that opening bit with Ignatius and Eric again, because we were talking in the chat like how he's naming all those different saints, that there might be like this sort of like not morality play, but the rest of the actors might be up there as the various different saints, because Cecily is the patron of singers, and there's a singer that pops up in this, so they might all be on stage. But also they talk about no, they didn't talk about the Black Knight, so never mind. Yeah, I don't know. I thought I had a point, but I don't have a point for that.
Well, they do kind of go like I think they do mention that all the pieces are on stage, or maybe it's the prologue that mentions that all the pieces are on stage. Yeah, Aliki.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's kind of hard to do when we're double cast and on Zoom. But I'm going back to the question of the White Queen's pawn and the mirror game. I think if we take her innocence and truthfulness as genuine, and I don't see how the plot works if we don't, then we have to believe that she's taken in by the mirror game, that she's somehow fooled by this maneuver. I mean, we know that the Black Bishop's pawn doesn't need to have seen anything because he's in on the trick. She just takes him aside. So all that needs to be managed really is for a window to be disguised as a mirror. In reality, on the stage, how you do it. I mean, I was this close to going like this with my phone. Then Mark came up in the window and I was like, yeah, okay, never mind. That wouldn't work.
Yeah. Mark.
Yeah, and so that's my thought, that yeah, she's taken in with it, and then presumably like off stage after the initial meeting between the Black Bishop's pawn and the White Queen's pawn, the disguised Black Bishop's pawn, that it's like after that scene where they're about to do it is where Aliki's character, the man, all these pawns and keeping track of everything. The Black Queen's pawn, right? Is like, hey, here's the thing. Here's the trick.
And I mean, she tells us a couple of asides, and I've read her twice now, so I'm getting a little bit more familiar with her lines. She tells us that she's out to get him and that she's going to bring him in. And she tells him why, although I think if one were to stage it now fully, you'd have to frame that really carefully. Because it's only in the second, maybe fourth time I'm hearing it and second time I'm reading it, that I decided what she's saying to him is, hey, you knocked me up twice and had me locked away as a lunatic, and I'm gonna get you.
Yeah. Otherwise, it kind of becomes like, I mean, I was like, well, your niece is what? And yeah, it's like she wouldn't be as bothered, I think, if it was someone else, maybe. Or maybe she would.
No, I think she's definitely slept with him before. And I think that line of his that he addresses to the White Queen's pawn, where he says, oh, were you a maiden first and now you're not, or something like that. What he's saying is, the woman I slept with was not a virgin.
Definitely. But it's a bad trick for a good cause in a way. Unlike the bad trick where you kind of have that thing.
No, I mean, so far as I'm concerned, the Black Queen's pawn is the heroine of this story.
Yeah. Mark, then Rachel.
Yeah, I was gonna follow up. Alan mentioned earlier that Alan observing that Middleton doesn't usually tell you what's gonna happen in advance all that clearly. But yeah, I had read Black Bishop's Pawn in one of the sessions earlier, but only through Act 4 Scene 1, and then I didn't join the session where we finished that one, so I didn't know where this was gonna go. I knew that, so yeah, I was like, is he getting away with it? Like I had noticed the Black Queen's pawn saying I'm tricking them both, but I didn't really know what to do with that. But yeah, it wasn't until that the reveal of the White Queen's pawn being like, I don't know what you're talking about because I didn't sleep with you. It wasn't until that moment that I was like, oh, never mind. He didn't get it, which is good. I'm glad. I was happily surprised that Black Bishop's pawn was not successful.
Yeah. Rachel. Okay. You were gonna say something, and you forgot, I'm guessing. Or not. Maybe not. Any other thoughts? Like this version, I feel it was strange because you've got the Black Knight's pawn doing. I mean, obviously, it didn't make it easier because there are so few of us, so the doubling kind of fell apart at some point. And I was exiting one way and then coming in the other way, basically. Yeah, exactly. Aliki. But it was kind of, I don't know, I feel like the Black Knight's pawn is not really needed in this story, at least in this through line of White Queen's pawn and Black Queen's pawn, because then you kind of have a distraction, which I mean, I guess it gives them time to do stuff off stage, which is useful. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Keeping track of all the pawns is confusing. Alan.
Yeah, I think part of the trouble is that trying to fillet this plot out of the whole thing is almost an impossible task anyway. And I'm pretty sure that the whole thing would make an awful lot more sense if you had a full company on stage, because you've obviously got in the initial, during the induction, you have the 5 principal characters plus their pawns on both sides appear on stage. And I suspect on later occasions where you've got that same cohort back,
Yeah.
there is quite possibly some movement going on, whether it's the Black Knight moving in that peculiar way that knights do, which might make some more sense of the action.
Mm-hmm. And even if the sorry, Alan, didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
that was basically what I was thinking, that it would take an awful lot of direction to actually work out how to do it properly.
Yeah. Costuming too, I think you'd have to kind of reference the chess pieces. One thing I mentioned in an earlier chat was the idea that they had a model of a chess piece on them somewhere.
Yeah.
But another thing that would work is hats. Obviously, you could have sort of white pawn hats, black pawn hats, and they wouldn't have to be like, entirely like chess pieces, but a black crown would stand in for black queen and that kind of thing.
I think on that you could actually have I did a look again at numbering the parts in a different way, so that you've got 0, 1 through 0, 5 for the main white characters, 11 through 15 who are the pawns to those characters. And I think what you could do is you could have crowns for the king and queen on each side, a bishop's mitre, the knight with maybe a horse head, and the duke a bleak rook. There's a symbology for that. And then their relevant pawns, you could almost do it with a tabard with the picture of their prime character on it, or the symbol for their prime character on it.
Yeah. But you'd still
it'd be
need a
quite
lot
an
of-
elaborate
yeah.
staging.
Yeah. You'd still need a lot of people though. Like, I mean, compared to Aliki.
The only other way you could do it would be animation.
True.
The only way you could do it relatively cheaply and easily. I really like Alan's notion of having the characters move the way the chess pieces move, though. I mean, obviously you couldn't do it too stylized because they also have to be people, but a reference to that movement.
Rachael.
Well,
Sorry.
I mean, to what they're saying, like if you wanted to keep like the movement and give the like chess piece movement feel, like I think there's a lot that in staging that could come off very subtly, that or maybe even in the not in the dumb show, but the dance. It seems like there's dances going on in certain portions that has a lot to do with it, because then there's the costumes and then there's the everything, and maybe that's also part of that could have been the appeal of this, because Dan, I think, kept posting like the original like staging of it, and there were like costumes, so it could be like how there used to be the Turkish plays, that those that they would break out the more extravagant costumes, that maybe they did some more extravagant stuff for this.
Yeah.
I don't know, but with the dancing and the singing, it could be in the style that would be more chess-like. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just thinking if there's anything else, sort of. I mean, Allison, did you feel adequately victimized
Yeah,
Which
actually,
sounds very wrong. But yeah.
the thing that like I've been kind of mulling over and trying to wrap my thoughts around, having gone through this whole cut, is feeling very words are just escaping me today. Feeling conflicted about the fact that it's like it bothers me reading it bothered me in reading it how little agency it felt like the White Queen's pawn had. But then also sitting there going, well, exactly, she's a pawn. She's not supposed to have that much agency. She is a pawn in everyone else's plots. But and I think where that like conflicted feeling comes in is feeling like the White Queen's pawn has almost no agency throughout this. Whereas the Black Bishop's pawn has like an illusion of agency and still in the end is ultimately a pawn to someone else's plot. But yes, White Queen's pawn felt very uncomfy. But I think like justifiably so, especially considering like we're looking at the story of pawns, and I guess conversely we've got the Black Queen's pawn who claims the agency by the end.
Aliki, you have something to say.
I think part of it is that she's taking the White Queen's pawn is taking the role of the maiden daughter in one of these early modern plays, who doesn't really have very much agency in history or in drama. Whereas the Black Queen's pawn is clearly an older woman who's been through some stuff. But also, to be honest, a lot of the bigger characters that we've cut for this version didn't seem to have huge amounts of agency. They just kind of did a lot of monologuing about how awesomely evil they were. It was mostly the black chess pieces we heard from.
Yeah, except the Black Knight's pawn, who just sort of goes, "I'm doomed" from the beginning, and he kind of goes like that's his entire thing. He doesn't really change. Like there is a moment where he thinks he can be saved, at least narratively, but then it all goes to shit. Sorry for the expression. But yeah. I also don't know if he actually has a function, like aside from sort of bigging up the Black Knight, because he's like, I scarce can read. I was brought up in blindness, and it's like, well, if they open my brain, they're gonna find all the parts and like untangle the thing. So it's kind of, I don't know. It's just he's there to support the Black Knight, which is basically what a squire or a pawn would do, I guess. Yeah.
I wondered whether the brought up in blindness was a chess joke, something about, him being in the bag until he was used. I think Alan's got his hand up and I keep interrupting. Sorry.
Well, also Rachael did.
I must admit, my thought throughout on Black Knight's pawn is there are elements of him as Baldric and the Black Knight as Blackadder, in particularly from the earlier series of that, because he is a bit, you keep expecting to turn out. I have a cunning plan and an unusually shaped turnip.
Definitely, yeah. Rachael, you had thoughts?
I was gonna say like I think with the White Queen's pawn and the Black Queen's pawn, you could play a lot because you could exaggerate and I guess make their differences more, where one is this innocent, not as worldly woman, and then the other's like, but I think at the same time both could be older women. Like you could have like if you just made the White Queen's pawn an older woman, she could be like she could have been a woman who was widowed before or something. And then like what I'm trying to say is like I think there's like I think there could be like more play with some of them, like with the White Queen's pawn, because I think like there is something that there's more like knowing of the schemes, like because when we would do like in the evening sessions, like the one that we did with Lindsay and Steven that one time where it was the where Lindsay was the I don't know, Celestina or whatever it was, where
Yeah.
it was like this innocent character who everyone was like, oh, she is the most virtuous, most patient, most loving and kind, and it was like this like and it was all projected onto her because she was a virgin or something, or she was a maiden, and she was the character with the most explosive temper, like if anybody in that that whatever, that I think there's so many different play and like combinations, and that there could be like a certain whatever. And I say that because like there's like a lot of juxtaposition too between, I think, the white bishop's pawn and the black bishop's pawn as well, that it has to do a lot with how they treat each other, that there's something like that I guess these women aren't like objects, but the black bishop treats both those women that way, and that it has to do a little bit, I think, with the relations, that the both of these women get their justification, I guess, in the end, because the white bishop's pawn goes out of his way to see his ex-fiance, I guess, justified, and is like one of the only two men in the court who stand up for her.
Mhm.
So I think it also has to do with how that I don't know, that the one guy's not like a, I guess, like a user and like a deadbeat like the other guy.
Well, I guess also technically, like on a chessboard, you'd have, white queen's pawn, and then next to them you'd have either on the other side the white king's pawn, and then on the other side of that you'd have the white bishop's pawn. So she's next to the guy for almost the entire thing, I guess. And she was due to marry him until he was gelded. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the loss of his testicles has to be mirrored, I think, by her sexual innocence. I have a feeling part of what's going on with that character is that she's drawn to Catholicism because she basically wants to be celibate. She wants to be a nun at some level, and she doesn't get to do that because she's a Protestant, but
Yeah. Yeah, the religious thing is really complicated. I mean, for like nowadays at least. So it kind of feels a bit, well, not outdated, but as long as you know which religion is which, then it's kind of, yeah. I mean, to me, it's kind of a mystery still, pun not intended. So, or pun intended. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. I see Mark messing around, and he's up to something. Of course, being the black bishop's pawn.
Always. I'm just looking. I'm just reminding myself where exactly the different chess pieces are on a chessboard.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, because so the black bishop's pawn thinks he's going to be able to go diagonally and capture the white queen's pawn.
Well, it depends
the
how they play. 'Cause, I
Black
mean, obviously, at
queen's
some point.
pawn betray. Okay, it gets a little weird. Like the metaphor gets messy, and I like that it was Error at the beginning who's like when one of the other characters in the beginning was talking about like, oh, I would just go after I would like usurp my bishop or what, I don't remember, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not how you play chess. But that's
Yeah.
kind of how the whole play feels. And at some point, you try to think about it too much. You're like, that's not how you play chess. This
Yeah.
metaphor's falling apart. Not in a bad way, just
I
Yeah,
don't
the
actually
bit-
know anything about chess except that the pieces look the way they do. So
Yeah, the only bit I don't get is at the beginning they're like, we're here to teach you how to avoid being in this situation, because they're kind of like, how to avoid your own check, if I'm not mistaken. So see you, Rachel. And what was the line? Play our game to avoid your check. So like basically you're expected to learn from this. I don't know, maybe that's me misinterpreting the line. Anyway, any other thoughts? Oh, Alan, yeah.
Yeah, I think there are a few occasions within the writing of this, where Middleton got a bit carried away with, oh, I can find a pun to make about chess moves or chess pieces. I'll stick it in. Might get a chuckle.
Yeah.
So you need
maybe being very cynical.
You need an audience that's versed in chess as well as the Catholic Protestant conflict. That's
a niche.
Well, I think the whole thing is probably a bit niche, but I suspect that this was aimed
early modern drama niche.
Never.
I've a feeling it was aimed possibly rather more at the upper classes than at the groundlings.
Yeah, probably. Though, I mean, in this version, we haven't had the black jesting pawn, which is like the entire dirty scene, which is kind of, yeah, which I can imagine being played for the groundlings, because like that's definitely sort of not. I mean, nobles probably enjoy the dirty humor as well, but yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'm just laughing at Aliki's expression, going, yeah, duh. But yeah. Any other thoughts before we end the session? Well, I suppose it remains for me to thank the wonderful readers for their wonderful reading and say goodbye. Which of the 20,900 fourscore and 5